Growing up in a down-to-earth family, we knew more about making ends meet than extravagant dreams. I was the lone wolf in the pack, with my old man ghosting us early on, leaving just me and Ma to figure life out. I love her more than anything else in my life. I would do anything I could for her. I know she gave up a lot more than I could imagine to raise me and be a good mother. Money was tighter than a clenched fist, and dreams had to take a backseat to survival for as long as I could remember. The only sensible move I figured out was to enlist in the military. Not out of some grand sense of adventure or patriotism, love for my country, but because I needed to put some stability on the table for Ma. Back then, Ma wasn't diagnosed yet with the nasty business that would later rear its ugly head. Fast forward to me coming back home after my military stint, thinking I would throw on the civilian cap and pick up where I left off. Maybe find a decent job as a construction worker because I had a pretty solid build, or maybe as private security. But life had other plans. Ma's health had nosedived into the deep end. Going from soldier mode to regular Joe brought its own set of challenges, and before I could snag a proper gig that could help foot the hefty bill for her treatments, the doctors dropped a C-bomb on her. The good news according to the doc was that it was in the early stages, and with the proper treatment at the right time, she could be free of the tumor. But what about the money? It always comes down to money, doesn't it? So, there I was, juggling the chaos of civilian life and a mom facing off with all of her strength against the relentless cancer. It was like being caught in a whirlwind with no damn umbrella. Her medical bills were not even close to what either of us had worked our asses off to earn, and there was no goddamn way I was taking out a loan I didn't know I could return, let alone at a fucking interest. I hated myself for being so incapable. The day my mother got the devastating diagnosis felt like the earth had been ripped from beneath my feet. The sterile hospital walls closed in around me, suffocating hope in a sea of despair. I needed an escape, even if just for a moment. There was a bar I'd often talked about with my military unit during our downtime. It was a place that lived in the anecdotes of camaraderie and laughter. I didn't expect anyone to be there. I just needed one night to drown myself, let the weight of reality slip away, and get lost in the embrace of temporary oblivion. The bar, a dimly lit haven nestled on a quiet street corner, seemed frozen in time. The neon sign flickered, casting an ethereal glow on the cracked leather stools and worn-out wooden tables. The air hummed with a mix of nostalgia and forgotten tales. As I stepped inside, the creaking doors whispered of countless stories exchanged within these hollowed walls. The bartender, a seasoned soul with a mop of graying hair and a face etched with the wisdom of the ages, met my eyes with a knowing glance. "Long day, son?" he asked, a sympathetic curve in his worn smile. I nodded, the weight of unspoken burdens pressing on my shoulders. "Just give me something strong," I muttered, seeking solace at the bottom of a glass. The bartender poured a concoction of amber fluid, the sound of liquid meeting glass a comforting echo in the otherwise still air. "On the house," he said, as if sensing the storm clouds above my head. The drink burned down my throat, a bitter symphony that harmonized with the ache in my chest. I stared into the swirling depths of the glass, lost in a momentary reprieve from the harsh realities waiting outside. The bar, with its timeless charm, and the bartender's silent understanding, became a sanctuary where I could sip away the sorrow and let the night take me, even if for just a fleeting moment. My eyes focused on the liquid in my glass, a futile attempt to drown the anguish clawing at my insides. "Jack?" Out of the shadows emerged an unexpected figure, the silhouette of a friend, a familiar face from the military unit with whom I had shared countless laughs and tales. He called out my name, a blend of recognition and surprise in his voice, as if the bar's dusty walls were echoing with the ghosts of our shared history. "Tom? Fancy seeing you here." I smiled. We exchanged greetings, and he gestured for a stool beside him. "Buddy, what are the odds? Fancy meeting you here." He chuckled, a grin etched across his face. "Looks like you've seen a ghost, man. Or maybe a few too many." I managed a half smile, the weight of my mother's diagnosis still clinging to my expression. Yeah, life has been throwing me some curveballs lately. He raised an eyebrow, scrutinizing my worn appearance. You weren't kidding about the ghost thing, Looks like you've been through the ringer. Everything okay? I let out a hollow laugh, a bitter response to the irony of his question. Okay might be pushing it. My mom just got diagnosed with cancer, and I'm drowning in medical bills. Financially, I'm barely keeping my head above water. Tom's expression shifted from amusement to genuine concern. Damn, Jack. I had no idea. That's rough, buddy. At least you're keeping your head above water. Some of us are just trying not to sink, you know. We shared a moment of laughter amid the gloom, finding solace in the absurdity of life's challenges. The bar, a witness to countless stories, became the stage for an unexpected reunion and a confessional for the burdens we both carried. As the night unfolded, we navigated the delicate dance between humor and heartache, finding comfort in the camaraderie that time had not eroded. As Tom and I sat in that dimly lit bar, the air heavy with shared history, our conversation took an unexpected turn. Tom, with gravitas in his gaze, leaned in and began unraveling a clandestine world of government secrets. Jack, he said, his voice carrying a weighty revelation. I've been working as the daytime guard for this, secret government facility. I don't know what the hell they do, but it's helped me pick up the pieces after I came back. They're looking for someone more professional, someone to keep things in check when the rest of the world is sleeping. Pays an insane amount. I felt a curious mix of intrigue and trepidation. Taking a sip from my own glass, I asked, what kind of secret government facility? Heck if I knew. And no, it's not a nuclear weapons base. If it were, they'd given me suits and what not to wear. I think they test on abnormal animals or something. Tom replied. Abnormal animals? I raised an eyebrow. Yeah, creatures that shouldn't be out there or normally seen. At least, that's how they put it when I dared to ask. All you have to do is to hunt them down whenever they tell you to. Like an assignment. Cryptids? Are you kidding me? Hey man, I'm just telling you what I was told. You're a pretty decent shot. One of the best I've seen in the field. Tom lifted both of his hands and shrugged. And where is this facility? Not too far from here. It's on the edge of a dense forest in the remote Appalachian Mountains. They gave us a pretty neat cabin close by, and it's just the right distance from the main highway, so we have access to the hospital. The Wyeth Hospital doesn't have enough to help my ma. I sighed. True, but there's the Bellet Health Cancer Care. It's only 3 hours away. If you need money to help her, isn't it worth it if you have to stay away from her for a while? I rubbed my eyes, exhaustion taking over my body. I don't know, Tom. I don't know. Is that the catch? That I have to stay there? I trailed off. Why haven't you taken the job already if it pays so much? The bar seemed to hang in suspended animation, a cocoon of confidences. Tom, ever the pragmatist, continued. I haven't taken the position myself. Got a family now, a wife expecting our first. Unexpected shifts and secrets don't mix well with diaper duty, you know. Even worse if it's a night shift. His words lingered in the air. A chance, nebulous and mysterious, presented itself before me. Tom knew, perhaps better than anyone, that my financial ship was navigating stormy waters. The offer, shrouded in the enigma of classified details, held the allure of salvation, a chance to navigate the murky waters of my mother's medical bills and secure her well-being. Screw it. You're right. I need the money. I nodded, the gravity of the proposition settling like dust in the air. The irony of the situation wasn't lost on me. An escape from the relentless grip of reality into a clandestine world where shadows whispered secrets and pockets ran deep. The bar, once a sanctuary of solace, had become the crossroads where destiny and desperation collided. Hang in there, man. Tom patted my back. Thanks, Tom. I owe you one. That's how I ended up working for Omega Haven. That is what the secret facility was called. I admitted my ma to the hospital, and went to live in a small cabin close to it. The government calls me a hunter, but in reality, I'm a pawn in a game where the pieces are nameless and the stakes are a mystery. It's a job that pays well, and in a world where financial shackles bind tighter than any chains, I've learned not to ask too many questions. The job was straightforward, or so it seemed. Majority of my nights are mundane, and the routine is painstakingly boring, the minutes ticking away in a dance of tedium. Standing in front of doors, walking the perimeter, keeping an eye out on the cameras and ears open for any sounds out of the ordinary, and then preparing to leave when the next shift guard arrives. The special assignments, as they called it, were rare. Every now and then, I get called upon when the government needs to transport something highly confidential and dangerous, or for me to hunt one down. The kind of threats that could tip the scales of power or rewrite the rules of existence. So far, I hadn't had to hunt down a cryptid, only transport them. I never know what lurks within the reinforced walls of the vehicles, but the green bills in my hand speak a language of their own. There were times where the transport was very close to going awry, but it was still under control. Based on the cage we transport and the noises we'd hear, I think they're testing on animals, and just want to keep it from the media and animal rights activists. Tonight, the moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow on the sprawling government facility. The air was thick with tension as I stood guard at the entrance, a silent sentinel in the face of the unknown. The call had come in earlier, a routine assignment, they said, but the tremor in the voice on the other end hinted at a deviation from the norm. I didn't read too much into it. A blacked-out transport vehicle idled before me, engine humming like a beast awaiting release. My instructions were simple: escort the cargo to its destination, no questions asked. But as I approached the vehicle, a chill crawled up my spine, a premonition of shadows lurking in the periphery of my understanding. I climbed into the driver's seat, the leather coat against my skin. The metal doors grown shut behind me, sealing me with the cocoon of classified cargo. My fingers traced the steering wheel, callous reminders of battles fought and scars earned. The other guard, Johnson, settled in the passenger seat. The engine roared to life, and with a hesitated sigh, I guided the vehicle onto the winding road leading to the heart of the unknown. My eyes flickered to the dashboard, the dim glow revealing only the essentials: fuel gauge, speedometer, and a small screen displaying a countdown timer. A timer that ticked away, its purpose known only to those pulling the strings. The radio crackled to life, a voice devoid of emotion issuing instructions like an omnipresent puppeteer. Destination classified. Proceed to coordinates 39.2487 degrees north, 94.9747 degrees west. I nodded towards the radio, acknowledging commands as if the very air spoke to me. The coordinates are now all too familiar to me. It's always the same facility in Elk Creek I had transported the cargoes to before, but for some reason, the voice on the comms always gives me instructions, as if it were my first. As the miles rolled away beneath the wheels, my thoughts circled back to my mother, lying in a hospital bed with tubes and wires, a frail soldier battling a cancer. The promise of financial reprieve for her treatments echoed in my mind, drowning out the sirens of doubt. The journey blurred into a monotonous haze, the road winding like an endless serpent through the darkness. The countdown timer on the dashboard reached single digits, the final digits ticking away like the sands of time. An unspoken tension hung in the air as the coordinates drew near, shrouding the vehicle in an invisible cloak of secrecy. I approached the designated location, the silence broken only by the gravel crunching beneath the tires. The cargo, unknown and unknowable, awaited its destination, and as I shut off the engine, the world seemed to hold its breath. The routine of cargo delivery at the facility follows a choreographed dance of automation. As part of the covert procedure, we would carefully position the cargo concealed within a robust cage, an expensive rolling step situated just outside the facility's entrance. Towering in scale, the metal door alongside the oversized rolling steps, which were automated, reel in the cargo once the people inside verified and gave access. There is a camera for that purpose right outside the facility. The whole system is pretty cleverly designed. This intricately designed process, bathed in the glow of automated security lights, speaks volumes about the facility's commitment to maintaining secrecy and control over its concealed contents. I stepped out into the cold night, a hesitant footfall on the precipice of revelation. The cargo doors swung open, revealing a darkness that seemed to swallow the very essence of my being. The air crackled with an otherworldly energy as I faced the abyss. I call out to Johnson. "A little help here, man?" I waited for a few seconds, expecting to hear the passenger door open and Johnson's footsteps. Nothing. "Hey, Johnson?" My voice echoed through the stillness of the night, the words bouncing off the concrete surroundings. However, a peculiar silence met my summons. I repeated the call, but it seemed as if my words vanished into the air. Concern etched into my features, and I started to make my way towards the other side of the vehicle. As I approached Johnson, the air took a sudden turn, thick with an unspoken tension. The automated machinery continued its monotonous hum, seemingly oblivious to the ominous shift. As I opened my side of the door, Johnson turned toward me with an unsettling suddenness, his eyes pitch-black voids, devoid of anything human. Before I could process the nightmarish transformation, a guttural scream tore through the air. It was a sound that didn't belong to anything of this world, a twisted amalgamation of horror that left me disoriented. The scream echoed in both directions from Johnson in front of me and from the back of the vehicle, disorienting my senses. Johnson, or whatever entity now occupied his form, lunged at me with a ferocity that defied human limits. The vehicle shook violently, its metal frame groaning in protest. In the chaos, Johnson's once familiar eyes gleamed with an otherworldly malevolence. His nails, now grotesque claws, aimed to scratch and gnaw at my flesh, the intent clear: kill or be killed. Struggling to maintain my composure, I felt the pressure on my throat as Johnson attempted to strangle the life out of me. The metallic sound of scraping and breaking filled the air, a dissonant symphony of chaos. Amidst the cacophony, a screeching sound erupted, and a disturbing silhouette emerged from behind the vehicle. Barely able to breathe, I strained against Johnson's relentless assault. The creature with deep red eyes seemed to materialize from the shadows, an ominous presence that defied explanation. As I fought for my life, the creature vanished, leaving a chilling void in its wake. With a surge of desperate strength, I managed to break free from Johnson's grasp, gasping for breath. My hands trembling, I fumbled for the firearm at my side. Johnson, now a grotesque entity, continued to advance. In that moment of surreal horror, I raised the weapon, aiming with a shaky resolve. The crack of gunfire echoed through the night, and Johnson convulsed with the impact. The once familiar guard crumpled to the ground, and an unsettling stillness settled over the scene. With my heart pounding and the echoes of the otherworldly encounter still reverberating in my mind, I cautiously made my way back to the covered cage. The scene that unfolded before me sent shivers down my spine. The once secure metal walls now contorted and twisted, evidence of an unimaginable force that had breached the confines. The creature, whatever it was, had broken free, leaving destruction in its wake. A surge of adrenaline propelled me back into the truck. My hands fumbled for the radio, urgency lacing my voice as I called in. "Anyone there? Respond!" The static-filled silence that followed intensified the knot of dread tightening in my chest. A sense of isolation settled over me, as if the events of the past moments had thrust me into a nightmarish realm, cut off from the known world. Desperation fueled my actions as I ran towards the rolling step of the facility, facing the camera and waving my arms in the air in hopes that someone might be able to help. The silence persisted until, suddenly, the colossal metal door creaked open. A few armed figures emerged cautiously, their eyes scanning the area for any sign of threat. They approached, their expressions a mix of caution and readiness. Their faces were hidden behind ventilation masks. Their questions came in rapid succession. "Have you been bitten? Scratched? Are you bleeding?" I reassured them that, and kept my arms raised in case they wanted to inspect. The armed individuals exchanged tense glances, a silent acknowledgement of the gravity of the situation. "He's fine. Should we bring him in?" I heard one of the armed men speaking in a walkie. "We're going in. I'm a hunter, and the cryptid I was bringing in, we know. We saw it. I'm Derek." The same man who spoke earlier interrupted me. "This will be very brief, Hunter Jack. I realize this is the first time you'll be tracking down a cryptid, but we'll make sure you have everything you need. Besides, I've read your file, and I admire your skills with a gun." I kept quiet, unsure about what would follow. Derek guided me to a dimly lit conference room. The air was filled with the low hum of hushed conversations that added to the tension in the room. As I took a seat at the large table, Derek began the introductions. "Jack, meet Dr. Elizabeth Hayes, our lead biologist, and Dr. Benjamin Miller, our resident specialist in anomalous entities." Dr. Hayes and Dr. Miller acknowledged me with nods, their expressions revealing a blend of wariness and concern. Derek gestured for me to take a seat, and the room fell into an uneasy silence. The weight of the situation settled over us like an invisible shroud. "Jack," Dr. Hayes began, her tone measured. "What you encountered out there is far more dangerous than we initially believed. The cryptid you transported is unlike anything we've dealt with before." Dr. Miller chimed in, his voice carrying a sense of urgency. "Its ability to manipulate minds is a new development. It seems to thrive in darkness and has the capability to influence and control the minds of those it encounters." My brow furrowed with a mixture of confusion and concern. "Manipulate minds? How is that even possible?" Dr. Hayes leaned forward, her gaze locked onto mine. "We're still trying to understand the extent of its abilities, but what we do know is that it can induce hallucinations, alter perceptions, and even control behavior. We do know for a fact that the creature seems to prefer a subterranean habitat, and exposure to light or open spaces agitates it." As the gravity of the situation unfolded, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The cryptid, once confined to the shadows, had revealed itself as an enigmatic and formidable adversary, one that operated not only in the physical realm, but also had the power to shape the very fabric of the human mind. The weight of the revelation settled in the room as I processed the newfound understanding of the cryptid's capabilities. Determination flickered in my eyes as I looked to Dr. Hayes and Dr. Miller, my question cutting through the lingering silence. "How do we track this thing down? How do we contain it?" Derek exchanged a knowing glance with the specialists, and Dr. Hayes leaned back in her chair, her fingers steepled in thought. "We've been developing a specialized tracking device, something that can pick up on the cryptid's unique energy signatures. It's still in the experimental phase, but don't worry. With your experience in combat, Jack, we believe you're the right person for the job." Dr. Miller continued. "This device will give us real-time data on the cryptid's movements, and, more importantly, its influence on the surrounding environment. We need someone on the field, someone who has good instincts and can be trusted with tracking down a dangerous creature." As they outlined the plan, the gravity of the task ahead settled over me. It was a dangerous mission, but I understood the urgency. I nodded in agreement, accepting the responsibility that had unexpectedly fallen into my lap. Dr. Hayes unlocked her phone and seemed lost for a few seconds before she looked up at the rest of us. She delivered the unsettling news with precision. "Jack, we've just received a spiked signal from a nearby small town, Staffordsville, or the cemetery to be precise. It's less populated, close to the mountains, and the cryptid's energy signature matches the data we've been monitoring." Derek added, "You need to hit there immediately. We'll accompany you, but we have to move under the cover of night. The cryptid is likely to be more active, and we can't afford to lose any time." The small town of Staffordsville, nestled in the shadow of the Appalachian Mountains, became the focal point of our mission. Armed and resolute, we left for Staffordsville. So many questions rose in my mind, but none that I could ask or wanted to know about. How the fuck did the cryptid already travel so fast to Staffordsville? What was it doing there? This felt way above my pay grade. As the team entered Staffordsville, a hushed tension filled the air, accentuated by the moonlight casting long shadows over the town. The signs of the cryptid's influence were immediately apparent. Large, irregular holes scattered across the landscape, creating an eerie pattern on the ground. As we cautiously approached one of the mysterious holes, it became clear that something more than mere digging had occurred. But that was not the weird thing. The soil surrounding the holes exhibited a curious anomaly, subtle pulsations, as if the very essence of the earth had been altered. Corporal Ramirez, curious but unaware of the lurking danger, knelt down to inspect the soil closely. To our astonishment, as Ramirez touched the soil, a faint bioluminescent glow emerged beneath his fingertips. The ground itself seemed to react to his proximity, emitting an otherworldly luminescence that pulsed with an unnatural rhythm. Dr. Miller, the specialist in anomalous entities, whispered, "It's not just physical. The cryptid is altering the composition of the soil, infusing it with some sort of bioactive energy. I strongly believe that is how it spreads, manipulating the very ground we walk on." The town's once stable ground had become a canvas for the cryptid's insidious artistry, and every inch of soil seemed to pulse with an alien vitality. As the team followed the cryptid's trail through the dug holes, the air thickened with an unsettling odor that twisted our senses. The once familiar town of Staffordsville revealed itself as an enigmatic theater of the unknown. The trail led us towards the town's perimeter, where Walker Creek, a placid water body outlined the community, awaited like a silent witness to the unfolding mysteries. The scent intensified, a noxious blend of something otherworldly, a strange sulphurous stench that hung in the night air. The odor wafted from Walker Creek, twisting our stomachs with its repulsive presence. Derek, ever vigilant, voiced the unease that lingered in the air. "What in the world is that smell?" Dr. Hayes, her brows furrowed in contemplation, responded, "It's not just a smell, it's a manifestation of the cryptid's influence. We've seen this before. It contaminates not only the soil, but the water too. The creature alters its surroundings, leaving behind a vile signature." As we continued to follow the dug holes, the sulphurous odor clung to the air, a disconcerting reminder of the creature's insidious presence. The trail of dug holes led us deeper into the heart of Staffordsville, the sulphurous odor from Walker Creek lingering in the air like a hunting specter. As we pressed forward, the moonlight revealed peculiar silhouettes in the distance, shadows that seemed to move with an unnatural rhythm. The team exchanged wary glances, realizing that we weren't alone on this cryptid-haunted journey. The silhouettes gradually materialized into figures, townspeople who, at first glance, appeared eerily normal. Yet, as they drew closer, it became evident that something was terribly amiss. Their eyes, once filled with the warmth of familiarity, now gleamed with an otherworldly emptiness. The once vibrant residents of Staffordsville had undergone a sinister transformation. These figures, moving in a disjointed, zombie-like manner, traced the same path as the team. It was a macabre procession, a silent dance guided by an unseen force. The realization struck us like a cold gust of wind. These were the inhabitants of Staffordsville, now turned into mindless creatures, all part of the same hive mind controlled by the cryptid. Dr. Hayes whispered with a sense of dread. "It's manipulating them, turning the town into an extension of its will. They are no longer individuals. They're part of the cryptid's hive mind." The thriving community had become a haunting spectacle of puppet-like figures, drawn inexorably towards the same destination. The trail reached its culmination near the town's abandoned factory, an eerie symbol of the cryptid's clandestine activities. Derek, a beacon of unwavering resolve, signaled for the team to prepare. "This is it, Jack. We end this tonight." As we entered the dimly lit factory, the air thickened with a palpable tension. The cryptid, sensing our approach, revealed itself, a grotesque manifestation that defied earthly comprehension. Its form undulated with an eerie grace, and deep red eyes locked onto us with an otherworldly intelligence. We noticed dead bodies lying in front of the cryptid, but they looked far from normal. It looked like all of the blood had been drained from their bodies, and from the cryptid's horrid appearance, I was starting to be sure of it. The cryptid stood tall, a looming figure with an unsettling presence that seemed to defy the laws of nature. Its appearance was a nightmarish amalgamation of monstrous features. The creature's elongated limbs were scrawny and skeletal, adorned with taut sinews that seemed to ripple beneath its dark, leathery skin. Tentacles, writhing and sinuous, protruded from its back, moving with an eerie grace as if animated by a malevolent intelligence. Each tentacle ended in a cluster of sharp, serrated claws, a testament to the creature's capacity for destruction. At the center of its nightmarish visage, the cryptid boasted a large, gaping mouth, lined with rows of razor-sharp teeth that seemed to defy the limits of anatomy. The mouth expanded, revealing an abyssal void that concealed additional clusters of claws, poised to strike with deadly precision. Dr. Miller, analyzing the situation, muttered, "It's using the townspeople as fuel, consuming their minds, their essence, to grow larger and more powerful." The cryptid, aware of our intrusion, lashed out with a sudden burst of energy. The rest of the mindless inhabitants, compelled by the hive mind, moved to protect the entity that had enslaved them. The air crackled with tension as the team engaged in a desperate struggle against the cryptid's relentless minions. "Get Jack the sonic gun! Give me one too!" Derek yelled out. I turned around and noticed a gun flying in my direction. Grabbing it, I positioned it immediately, naturally, as if I had been using it for quite some time. Derek's voice cut through the chaos, rallying the team. "Focus on the cryptid. We need to sever its connection to the townspeople." The cryptid, sensing the threat, intensified its psychic assault. Dr. Hayes, with a determined gaze, called upon her scientific expertise. "We need to disrupt its energy field. Target its core, Jack. We'll take care of the people." I heard gunshots and tried to focus my attention on the cryptid in all of the chaos. My weapon discharged with a resounding blast, sending shockwaves through the factory. The sonic waves resonated with the cryptid's core, disrupting its energy field and momentarily staggering the creature. The once imposing figure of the cryptid quivered, its tentacles recoiling in pain as the sonic frequencies tore through its otherworldly form. Seizing the opportunity, the team rallied around me, focusing their firepower on the weakened cryptid. The creature, its once confident demeanor shattered, struggled against the onslaught. With steely resolve, I maintained my aim on the cryptid's core, each sonic blast chipping away at its malevolent power. As the sonic assault persisted, a transformation occurred. The cryptid's influence over the mindless inhabitants began to wane. The townspeople, once puppets to the cryptid's will, staggered as if awakening from a dark slumber. The hive mind, weakened by the sonic onslaught, released its grip on the once enslaved residents. The cryptid, now vulnerable, emitted an otherworldly shriek as its core destabilized further. In a final surge, the sonic gun unleashed a concentrated burst of energy directly at the cryptid's core. The creature convulsed, its monstrous form contorting in agony. With a deafening roar, the cryptid collapsed, its malevolent influence shattered. The factory fell silent. The battle against the enigmatic adversary concluded. "Get on the move, now!" Derek yelled. The team immediately shifted into a meticulous operation to recover and secure the cryptid for transport and erase all traces of the otherworldly confrontation. It was a task that demanded precision, leaving no room for the remnants of the supernatural threat to linger. Derek continued to bark orders to secure the perimeter. "We can't leave any evidence behind. Make sure every inch of this place is sanitized. Sweep for any lingering psychic residue or anomalous readings." The team, armed with specialized equipment, fanned out across the factory. Dr. Hayes and Dr. Miller worked to analyze the remnants of the cryptid's energy field, ensuring that no lingering traces could be detected. I surveyed the battleground, noting any areas where the cryptid's influence might have left an indelible mark. The mindless inhabitants, now freed from the cryptid's control, were escorted to a secure location where their memories would be carefully scrutinized and a cover story would be provided. And if necessary, a memory-altering device would be used as a last resort. The team left no stone unturned, ensuring that the town of Staffordsville would awaken to a new day without the weight of the supernatural hanging over it. Hours passed, and as the team concluded their operation, Derek addressed him with a sense of finality. "Good work, everyone. And Jack, you did good. You're now officially a hunter." With a collective nod, the team departed from the factory, leaving Staffordsville to reclaim its tranquility. That was my first hunt. I guess I was lucky to have a security team accompany me on my first mission. I was later informed that since I'm not a rookie anymore and have successfully completed my first hunt, I won't have to do guard duties. Thank God for that. However, As boring as guard duties are, they're less likely to lead me to an early grave. Can't complain about the significant raise in pay though. But from now on, I will be on my own. And I sure as hell am not looking forward to the next hunt.